Hello everyone and welcome back to another political OP video. Today we'll be making our updated prediction for the US House of Representatives 2026 elections. Now many things have happened since my last prediction on this topic. The video was did quite well, by the way. Thank you for all the views on that. So I will make a follow-up video as many developments have occurred since then, and thus we need to make an updated prediction. Now I'll be going off the current map, and I know there are many states that might redistrict, but we will not consider that unless it is settled, it is in law, and it is virtually guaranteed to be the map for the 2026 elections. For instance, Missouri's map is not official. District 5 around Kansas City is still kind of intact. The new map would crack it. However, we'll be using this map, you could call it the old map, at this moment. Although it will almost certainly not be the final map. This will be our updated prediction for December of 2025. Now currently Democrats lead the generic ballot by almost 3 percentage points. This is a slight drop. It's definitely less than they were leading it in the first Trump midterm in 2018. See, their lead has gone down a little bit. However, this is still a 5.4% swing from the 2024 House election. And I'll be using this map, shout out to it by the way, it's a great source, as my main kind of blueprint, with a few exceptions for a few of the redistricted states. So starting off from Washington, there'll be no change here. I'll be using the lighter colors, blue for Democrats and red for Republicans respectively. The lighter color is to indicate a hold, and the darker color to indicate a flip or a change of control. So for the state of Washington, everything's going to remain as is with the states of Montana, all of Montana's districts, Wyoming obviously, both Dakotas. Oregon will stay the same. Nevada will stay the same. And here we get to our first changes in Utah. The Utah Supreme Court implemented a new map that gives kind of a Democratic vote sync district around the Salt Lake City area. It was like Harris plus 22 or something. This will be a flip, first flip on our map. Before it was a 4-0 delegation in favor of the GOP. Now it's going to be 3-1. Moving on to Nebraska. Don Bacon is likely to lose his seat, as it is a district that at the presidential level is trending towards the Democrats, so they will likely pick it up, as this will be a more Democrat optimal year. In Iowa, I think seats 1 and 3 are likely to flip, as they were both very close in 2024, which was a more Republican optimal year. I believe both of them will flip. Minnesota will stay as is, and will remain a 4-4 tie delegation. In Wisconsin, I believe District 3, I believe Van Orden is not going to hang on there. That district was one of the closer ones in 24. So I believe that'll be a flip for the Democrats. The only flip out of Wisconsin, which will remain a Republican majority delegation, 5-3. Illinois' map, all safe seats, is going to stay as is. Indiana's map, a vote in the Indiana State Senate recently shot down an attempt to redistrict a state, which would make it, I believe, 9-0. Now it's going to be a 7-2. Missouri again, it's going to stay the same. Although I'm going to make an updated video on this eventually, probably in January or February, by which case there might be more updates. Kansas is going to stay 3-1, no change in Kansas. In Colorado, I think there can be 2 flips. District 8 is almost certainly to flip. It only narrowly went to the GOP in 2024 by under a point. It's almost certainly going to flip. Definitely one of the Democrats' easiest pickups and an essential building block on their path to reclaim a majority in the House. District 3 might be a very close race, but according to the generic ballot average and the estimated swing, District 3 is also going to flip. So Colorado will go to a Democrat majority House delegation, whereas currently it is a 4-4 tie delegation. New Mexico is going to stay 3-0. Hawaii is going to stay 2-0. Alaska is predicted to flip in this case, especially if Mary Peltola runs. She's one of the stronger candidates for Alaska. It's not guaranteed that she's going to run yet, but for the sake of this prediction, Alaska is a flip. In Arizona, we have 2 flips, Districts 1 and 6. both by somewhat healthier margins, which will definitely aid the Democrats in that state. I'll do California later. Oklahoma, GOP's has 100% of those seats, all safe. They're not going to change. Same with Arkansas. Mississippi is going to stay 3-1. Even if the VRA Section 2 gets struck down by the Supreme Court, I believe it'll be way after the deadline to redistrict, along with many other of these deep South states with the VRA mandated districts. Alabama's the same. For 2028, it might be a different case, but for 26, these districts are likely to remain in place. In the state of Georgia, no real competitive seats there. Georgia's going to remain as is. South Carolina is going to remain as is with only one Democrat representative, Jim Clyburn. Tennessee, as is, no change there. Although we did have that special election that was during an off year. Kentucky's going to remain as is with the one Democratic seat out of Louisville. The rest all solid red. West Virginia, very red state. No surprise there. In Michigan, we do have a couple of flips out of here. Now, recently, the Democratic advantage in the generic ballot has gone down. When it was higher, Michigan's 10th district was, based on this formula here I'm using to calculate most of these results, Michigan 10 would have been a flip, but now it is still a GOP narrow hold, mostly out of Macomb County there in Michigan. However, District 7 is going to be a flip still. The rest of Michigan will stay the same, other than that. In Ohio, this state did redistrict. And I believe that, you can see the district shape is a little bit different here, just to make more Republican friendly here. I believe this will still be a narrow flip. However, it will be a Democrat optimal year and environment, so it's hard to tell exactly where it will land. Oh, I forgot that one. Oh, mix those up. Anyway, Democrats will probably come with 4, maybe 5, but I'm going to say 4 at this point, seats in Ohio. In North Carolina, District 1, I think it's Don Davis, was redistricted out. I believe that will be a narrow flip. However, you can see many of North Carolina's districts are lean GOP, so in a Dem blowout, this could become a dummy mander. But I think at the moment, Democrats only have 3 seats at the end of the day in North Carolina due to this gerrymander. District 1 will be a flip in this prediction. In Virginia might redistrict, but that's not set in stone yet. For now, I'm predicting the only flip will be VA2. Which will, Democrats currently are a narrow majority in the Virginia delegation to the House. I think they'll expand that majority. There have been talks of Virginia going to a 10-1 or a 9-2 map in favor of the Democrats. We'll see if that happens. For now, we'll move on. Delaware, blue, obviously. Maryland might redistrict, but for now, I'm going to assume status quo and stays as is. Moving on to Florida. Again, Florida might redistrict, but given this current environment, I believe it's going to stay as is. Every seat is going to be a hold in Florida in this prediction. And again, if I make any mistakes in this video, please be sure to point them out. And if you have any differences in opinions or differences with any of these projections, please let me know. I'm open to all sorts of comments. So please leave a comment below if you have any ideas about the 2026 midterms. In Pennsylvania, I think there'll be 3 flip seats, 8, 7, and 10 out of the state of Pennsylvania. Very important state, swing state. And if Democrats perform well here, that might embolden them for 2028. The state of New Jersey. Again, recently, New Jersey 7 was predicted to be a flip, no longer, as Republicans have made up a little bit of ground in the generic ballot. So that means that New Jersey, so the Republicans are going to hold on to their 3 seats in there. Again, I think there's been some talk of New Jersey possibly redistricting. It's not been confirmed now. Massachusetts, all Democrat delegation, very blue state. Same with Rhode Island, same with Connecticut, same with Vermont, and New Hampshire. The races in New Hampshire will be closer, but both likely blue. Maine's first district heavily blue. However, Maine's second district, I believe moderate Democrat Jim Golden has represented this Trump district, and now that he's not opting to run for re-election, it's likely to be a flip, even in this environment. 5.9, that can be overcome with a strong GOP candidate. I believe it will be a flip at this moment. Moving on to New York. Status quo, no change there. Saving Texas and California for last. Moving on to Texas. I believe that out of the 5 seats that the GOP has redistricted and are in hope of picking up, I believe they'll pick up 4 of them. And I hope I get them right. I might get the wrong seats, but the idea is still the same. So these seats will pick up. They try to draw Henry Cuellar, however, is very popular in his district. I believe he'll retain that seat. And these other seats they're kind of packed together. And the one at El Paso, I believe all of those will be the same. No change in there, all very safe blue districts. Now I'll move on to California, last state. I'll decide this race. The Democrats will probably pick up 4 seats here due to their redistricting here. Maybe 5 seats, maybe 4. I believe this seat here is a flip out of southern LA because it was redistricted further that way. And I think, whose seat is this? Valadeo. I think Valadeo might hold on, honestly. I think with these, and that one seat there. I think with this redistricting in general, it might not always go as planned, and usually it ends up being a dummy manager to some extent. Not always completely, so. Just fill in the rest. And with California's big vote dump, this will give Democrats the win of the House. Well, like in my last prediction, however, this time I'm predicting a win of 226 to 209 seats. A decently large win, however, not a huge blowout, not as big as 2016, 2006, or 2008. 2018. That will do it for this prediction. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Bye.